Vince, you have been talking about this for months. How
2 years.
How excited are you to that this is here today?
I will probably cry. This has been 2 years in the works.
That voice is Vince Butler with the Coolidge National Medal of Honor Heritage Center in downtown Chattanooga, Tennessee. Right before 13 Medal of Honor recipients were about to board a train to reenact the actions of the first Medal of Honor recipients, Andrews Raiders from the Civil War.
It's just mind-boggling, and it's truly emotional for me. It's exciting. It's going to be something that's going to. Here, I'm getting teary up.
Last week, the Congressional Medal of Honor Society held its annual celebration in Chattanooga. There were more than 30 Medal of Honor recipients in town for some part of that celebration. You can find lots of that content right now on my YouTube channel, and you can find that in the show notes of this episode. But today, I wanted to share more moments from an historic week in Chattanooga.
This is the first time that we've ever been to a convention anywhere where we got to reenact some of the actual actions of the Medal of Honor.
My name is Josh Rowe, and this is Tomorrowtown, Tennessee. Army Captain Florent Groberg was awarded the Medal of Honor for a combat action on August 8, 2012 in Afghanistan. On that day, he was leading a security detail protecting several high-ranking officers, including his brigade commander. They were going to a security meeting when someone turned toward the group. Captain Groberg noticed a bulge under that person's clothes. This is from his Medal of Honor citation, quote, selflessly placing himself in front of one of the brigade commanders. Captain Groberg rushed forward, using his body to push the suspect away from the formation. Simultaneously, he ordered another member of the security detail to assist with removing the suspects. At this time, Captain Groberg confirmed the bulge was a suicide vest. The citation goes on to say, with complete disregard for his life, Captain Groberg, again with the assistance of the other member of the security detail, physically pushed the suicide bomber away from the formation. Upon falling, the suicide bomber detonated his explosive vest outside the perimeter of the formation, killing 4 members of the formation and wounding numerous others. The blast from the first suicide bomber caused the suicide vest of a previously unnoticed second suicide bomber to detonate prematurely with minimal impact on the formation. What you are about to hear is Florent Groberg telling part of his story just before the Patriot Award Gala on the last night of the Medal of Honor celebration.
I had an uncle killed by terrorists in 1996 in North Africa, and I'm an immigrant myself, so I was naturalized in 2001 in February. 7 months later, the same type of group that killed my uncle, now had attacked my newly adopted country. So at that point, I felt it was my duty, one, to, as a newly naturalized citizen, to go serve my country. But most importantly, I felt it was really personal. 4 of my friends didn't come home on August 8, 2012. And now I am a Medal of Honor recipient, and I get to, do these types of events, and 4 families don't have a loved one, specifically around the holidays and every single day of their lives. So that emotional sort of pain is very real, but also drives you to be a better person. I think the military solidified my foundation and gave me some of the best experiences and lessons you could ever ask for as a young man. Yeah, absolutely. It taught me a lot about selflessness, respect, integrity. It taught me a lot about the importance of teams. I knew that before. But when you're getting blown up and shot at, and you look at people's eyes, to your front, to your rear, to your left, to your right, and you need to trust them, and they need to trust you. You need to be the best professional you can possibly be. 100%. These are incredible, powerful lessons at a very young age. Now the question is not about you've learned discipline and things like that. It's how do you apply them into your civilian life when you transition out? And that's probably one of the harder questions. But yeah, you get a PhD on how to be a better person and definitely a warrior in every concept so you can think of. But probably more importantly, the one lesson that I had to take back is it forced me at a young age to understand the power of making a decision. Yeah, I miss everything. I mean, listen, I'm I'm not going to stand here and tell you I didn't enjoy war. It's the ugliest thing in the world, but just for about 1 or 2% of it, 98% of it, you spend time with some very different individuals that become your brothers and sisters, become the best man at your wedding, your maiden of honor, godparents to your kids, individuals that you pick up the phone to when you're struggling, you want to go talk to, even though maybe you were never associated with them in a previous life because you were so different. So that all that concept is just blown out of the water when you join the military, and it forces you to learn about humanity. And so these are things I would never trade. I am here today, the person I am today, because of the actions that we had to take in the mountains of Afghanistan, because of the decision that I had to make. And unfortunately, war is evil. You can be the best of the best at 100% on that day, and you will still lose people. And that's something that's, it teaches you a thing or two about appreciating life. I no longer live my life, but every single day without, for one, saying, just being grateful that I have a breath. And that means that I have to do a lot more. It drives me to be a better person, a more dedicated person, a better father, definitely a better husband, but more importantly, to make sure that every opportunity that I have to improve my community or on the business side to improve my business, I don't become complacent. I don't take shortcuts. I drive forward and I attack and I go win. And if I fail, I learn and get back up and do it all over again.
Wherever you go, whatever they get into, from chill time to everyday adventures, protect your dog from parasites with Credelio Quattro. For full safety information, side effects, and warnings, visit CredeliaQuattroLabel.com. Consult your vet or call 1-888-545-5973. Ask your vet for Credelio Quattro and visit QuattroDog.com.
You heard earlier in this episode about an event that happened on the first day of the Medal of Honor celebration. A reenactment of the actions of the first Medal of Honor recipients, Andrews Raiders from the Civil War. That morning, before they got on that train, I spoke to Medal of Honor recipient General Pat Brady.
Well, this is the first time that we've ever been to a convention anywhere where we got to reenact some of the actual actions of the Medal of Honor. This is the first time that an action took place that resulted in like 22 or whatever Medal of Honors.
What are your thoughts about that today? You're going to be on the tracks, on the exact path?
I watched the movie the other night. It was 50 or 60 years old. Fess Parker was in it. And it actually, it was realistic. I'm anxious to see the track and see what it actually looks like. So, but this was, what happened to these 24 people kind of set a precedence. America had never before, they thought it was aristocratic to give medals to people for doing what they're supposed to. And that's the truth, we're just doing what we're supposed to do. And then Napoleon, of all people, established the Legion of Honor in France, where he allowed the medal to be given to someone other than the aristocracy, to an enlisted guy, to a grunt. And so that was initially what our medal was for, just for the enlisted guys. And later on, then they raised it to everybody, as long as it was combat related. The other significant thing about this race is because we experienced, I think, for the first time, PTSD. That's what we call it today. In those days, they called it battle fatigue or something like that. And these guys were in prison, they hung the first 8 guys they caught and the 2 civilians and they didn't get the medal either because they were civilians. And they were in some horrible conditions in prison, and it had an effect on them. And some of them lasted the rest of their lives. When they got out of prison, went back to regular life, and one of them committed suicide. He was the first suicide Medal of Honor recipient. And there would go on to be about 31 of them, almost all of them, I think, having combat fatigue, PTSD, or whatever they call it today. And that was before the VA. And so I think they kind of set the standard. So some dummy woke up and said, we got to do something for these guys. And the VA stepped in, and so now today, thanks to our VA, we are probably the best cared for veterans in the world.
And that jail you talked about, that was in downtown Chattanooga. There's a marker for that right where that jail stood. You're going to see some of the spots today, like where this stuff
really?
happened. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so how does that feel to know that you're going to be standing in those spots that, 160 some odd years ago,
Yeah.
how this happened?
And the first guy to get the medal, Perot, he was in prison for I don't know how long. He was tortured over 100 times before he finally got out. And an interesting thing happened with Perot. I was in the Pentagon one day, and the clerk of the House called me. This guy runs the House of Representatives. I was in the Pentagon. He said, I got something I want to show you. So I went over to his office in the House of Representatives, and he opened a drawer, and he pulled out Jacob Perot's medal. I said, that's the real medal? He says, yes, that's the real medal. It'd been in the family safe for like 125 years. So he says, what should we do with it? And I said, well, put it in the statuary hall under a dome, because this is the first one. They said, okay, so they put it in statuary hall under a dome, and then later on, West Point. It went to West Point. I don't know why he wasn't a West Pointer. Right. And then now today, it's in the National Medal of Honor Museum in Arlington, Texas. Brand new $300 million museum, thanks to the Jones family. I call them America's family. 30 years it took us to build that thing. They did it in about 4 years.
Final thought here is, what's it like to be together with the other recipients all at once?
Oh, we're like brothers. It's not just recipient on recipient, it's all veterans. I have reunions with my unit in Vietnam that go back over 50 years. And when you see them, you may not have seen them for a few years. It's just like yesterday. I mean, nothing has changed. And they're just a special, I think it has something to do with sharing something, something traumatic. When you share that with somebody, you become close to them. And so I was in a great unit in Vietnam, helicopter ambulance unit, 40 men. In 9 months, we rescued over 21,000 wounded soldiers. When I joined the society, I'm not going to tell you how long ago that was, but all we did, we gathered in a city or place somewhere in America, and we partied. That was it. Now, when you party with guys like Pappy Boynton, Commando Kelly, Chief Childress, Scooter Burt, these were world-class partiers. So we would leave the convention with nothing more than a hangover. And we went then one convention, we went to Philadelphia. And the mayor invited us to walk through the ghetto at night, at midnight, with police. So several of us volunteered, and we saw some horrible things. Next day, we go to a school. We have to go through a metal detector to get into one of our schools. So we made a vow then that we were going to leave something behind besides a hangover. And we started our character development program. And we've been doing this for about 16 years or so. When we come here, our goal is to leave something behind. Metal is a symbol from some professor checked me on this, Greek word meaning half token. When you join it with the other half, it represents something above and beyond itself. The flag, for example, the other half token of the flag, what? Declaration, Constitution. The other half token of this, courage, sacrifice, patriotism. So we go to schools, and using vignettes, Medal of Honor vignettes, we teach the children the key to success in life is courage, the key to happiness in life, sacrifice, and the key to the future of America is patriotism. So that's our goal. So we will do this hopefully in this community while we're here. We'll go to the schools, we'll go see first responders, and we'll embed on those young people those three values: valor, values, and action. What we did in a few minutes in combat, it pales before what a lot of people have done as civilians in terms of jobs, charity, building, whatever. But there's a certain celebrity associated with this, and we use it as a training age for young people.
A big thank you to General Pat Brady, Captain Florent Groberg, the Congressional Medal of Honor Society, the Coolidge National Medal of Honor Heritage Center, Waterhouse Public Relations, and everyone else who worked so hard to make the 2025 Congressional Medal of Honor Society celebration a big success. And thank you for listening to to Morrowtown, Tennessee. This podcast is a production of News Channel 9, Fox Chattanooga, and Sinclair Broadcast Group Chattanooga. I hope you join me again real soon.